Hi people!
Welcome back to Counting Thoughtz podcast. We are here counting all our small and big thoughts, all this to bring change one thought at a time.
Yes, amen.
So, we want you to end January 2023 by giving a fresh perspective on habit building.
But then there's a reason why we're so hell-bent on you having a good start, and I say hell-bent because entire January we've sort of focused our episodes around, in general, anybody having a good start. This is because generally there is a lot of emphasis laid on the fact that, when you start something right, when you start on a good note, generally things sort of start falling in place. Not advocating that in between you cannot rectify. That is always scope for rectification. But today's episode focused on this idea that I read about. It's called the butterfly effect. So according to this phenomena, the first 15% of a process usually leads to 85% of a desired outcome. Generally क्या होता है, you tend to focus all your energy on कि oh my god इतना काम करना है. When you get overwhelmed, you either don't do it or you don't do it efficiently, or you sort of don't get around to it. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you somehow are able to focus on the first 15%, there are chances that 85% of things will turn out in your favor. To give you more perspective, 15% of 365 days, माने एक साल का 15% would be 54.7 exact. ठीक है, इसको round off कर दो, that would be 55 days would end up being February 24.
Let's say if that's too big of a picture for you to imagine, what you can do is begin with 15% of 1 month, which is usually 4.5 days. So if we hyper focus for 4.5 days only in a month and manage to club these days together on top of that to get hyper productivity, then we would end up with 85% of positive results, right?
Anmol broke it down for you for a month. You can also break it down for a day. In a day, if you somehow hyper focus on your work for 3.6 hours, so मतलब 4 घंटे, you will have quite a productive day. Anmol का भी ऐसा है that if she's working, I mean her most productive hours begin when I am already fast asleep, but then she will sit down for I think 3-4 hours. इतना ही time she sits down, and whatever work, actual productive work she does, that is 4 hours. Why I'm saying कि मतलब 4 hours is going to be enough, because मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि people over time having a balanced life, balanced वो, there is so much hype around this, and they've put the term balance on a pedestal. तो इससे क्या हुआ है? इससे ये हुआ है कि we're trying to survive life instead wherein we should be living life. With evolving times, we must evolve our perspective also. हमारा perspective नहीं evolve हुआ है, अभी भी वही है. There is somebody I heard on a podcast. He said that your day is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My day is 2 work days in one day. Which is why I see कि perspective matters, because actual दुनिया का perspective is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is one day. That individual's perspective is कि my work day is starting at 7 a.m. It probably will end at 12 noon, and then another work day will start at 12:30, and then it will end at 4, and then the other work day will start at 5, and then probably end at 8. And that individual is actually able to squeeze in 3 work days in one day.
Can have the same execution, but the results and the meaning to it might differ for every individual. Like for this person, they have 3 work days or 2 work days in one day. Say suppose on an average this individual has 2 work days in one day. Individual is working 5 days a week, जो हमारा week है, right? So this means by the end of the week, he has actually had 10 work days, where you and me are stuck with 5 work days. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल वो लोग देखे जो खुद ऐसे खुद जा रहे हैं और रेस्टोरेंट में खाना खा रहे हैं अकेले, ठीक है? कोई उसको देख के बोलेगा कि वाह ये इंसान कितना इंडिपेंडेंट है. दूसरा इंसान उसको देख बोलेगा अरे लोनर देखो, इसके साथ कोई खाना खाने को भी नहीं है. It's the same individual. We don't know the circumstances of that individual. Could be either ways, but then for a third person, जो तुम्हारा perspective है, Right.
तुमने उसके हिसाब से सामने वाले को गेज कर लिया है, पर बिकॉज इट इज योर पर्सपेक्टिव वर्सेस माई पर्सपेक्टिव, यू आर गेजिंग अ सिचुएशन, दैट सेम सिचुएशन based off of what your perspective is, which is why having a perspective is important. There are many examples you can, look at. तुमने players देखे हैं?
Yes, of course. Of course.
ठीक है. When they are practicing, then they are practicing.
Yeah.
तुम उस बंदे के कोच से पूछो तो that individual is focused, पर तुम उसे किसी फ्रेंड से पूछो तो शायद वो फ्रेंड बोलेगा कि कितना बोरिंग है, इसके पास कुछ करने को ही नहीं है.
But then also, there is a certain obsession that you need to have that kind of discipline, and we forget that discipline consumes time. Like this practice में it will take time, but it also gets you a certain sense of freedom.
When you are disciplined, actually you can make more time. मुझे लगता है कि if I don't do that, I will be very scattered and I'll be all over the place and I will not be able to do things that I actually want to do. Because जैसे जीवन में ऐसी बहुत चीज़ें होती हैं that you want to do, ऐसी बहुत सारी चीज़ें that you have to do. ये जो have to do वाली चीज़ें होती हैं, they consume your life so much if you are not disciplined enough to create room for things that you want to do. Like if you are focused enough on work and you somehow are disciplined enough throughout the weekdays, Monday to Friday, weekend maybe you can create time to build a project or have a side gig or ऐसे start up a business.
Maybe there's a hobby that you want to pursue. Maybe it's painting. Maybe
कुछ भी. Instead of negating the importance of discipline, the importance of having a wider, different, more rich perspective.
Our goal should not be to attain just the balance. It should be to attain the contrasts. So if we can obsess in work but relax in life, we can, we will spend our time on edges. We can have this insane expectations from ourselves that we will work 5 days and then we will take 2 days, and in those 2 days we will do all the things, all the bills, all the catch-up sessions, all the work, chores.
दुनिया यही कर रही है भाई, तुम सही कह रही हो, दुनिया यही कर रही है. Like ये मुझे नहीं पता था कि this is actually doable. I had a friend who moved to Canada and इंडिया में हाउस हेल्प इज अ थिंग. फॉर द फर्स्ट 2 months I think he was all over the place. He was very overwhelmed and gradually I think 3-4 महीने के बाद जब मैंने उससे बात करी तो उसने मुझे बोला कि he had कि मैं ऑफिस के बाद I have 1 hour where you can actually do stuff, and I started doing it and life has been very 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 seamless. It gets overwhelming for the first week or so, but then life starts to get organized, and then I realized कि ये मैं भी तो कर सकती हूँ. I can also try and replicate. I actually told myself that I will not have any day off. This is when I was still working in sales. Okay? And my work जो एक छुट्टी मिलती थी मुझे, वो एक छुट्टी फ्री होने लग गई अनमोल. Now you're free and you're not meeting anybody. अब क्या करो? I could read more. It was, if you've stuck around till now, let's just give you
a few tips so that you can build new habits that can help you in living this full of contrasts life. So beginning with anchoring. Yasha?
Okay. जेम्स क्लियर की एक किताब है एटॉमिक हैबिट्स. भाई जिसने नहीं पढ़ी है तो मुझे ऑडियो बुक भी है, ऑडियो बुक पढ़ लो. समरी भी आई थिंक यूट्यूब पे समरी भी अवेलेबल है, वो सुन लो, नहीं तो किताब पढ़ लो. वेरी वेरी गुड बुक. व्हाई आई से इट्स अ वेरी गुड बुक? बिकॉज जनरली it falls into the genre of self-help books, but generally self-help books are very difficult to comprehend for people who are going to read self-help literature for the first time.
Right.
This book is simplified. Mr. James has done a very awesome job. इस किताब में there is this concept called anchoring. He uses a different term, I think stacking he uses, but then basically बहुत सारी वीडियोज़ हैं इस कॉन्सेप्ट, सिर्फ इस कॉन्सेप्ट पे बहुत वीडियोज़ हैं. जस्ट इन केस यू नॉट एबल टू फुली कॉम्प्रिहेंड कि मैं क्या समझा रही हूँ, यू कैन गो बैक डू योर रिसर्च. वेरी वेरी इजीली अवेलेबल. सो व्हाट बेसिकली दिस आइडिया इज वेरी इफेक्टिव. यू आर ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड अ हैबिट एंड यू आर नॉट ट्राइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस दैट हैबिट एक नए सिरे से अपने दिन में. You already have a habit. You're anchoring a new habit to the present habit that you have. For instance, ऐसा है कि brushing is a habit. For me, सुबह उठ के coffee पीना is a habit, right? I have 0 upper body strength. I decide that मुझे अपना upper body strength को build करना है, right? I cannot do push-ups. It is that bad. बट नाउ इफ आई टेल माई सेल्फ कि मैं पुशअप्स करूंगी 5-10 पुशअप्स करूंगी उठ के, नॉट पॉसिबल. वॉट आई कैन डू दो इज कि ओके I already know that I have a habit of, so while my coffee is brewing, मुझे पता है कि ऐसे 1 मिनट 2 मिनट तो लगेगा कॉफ़ी ब्रूइंग को, ठीक है. While I'm waiting for my coffee to be prepared, I will probably do a 1 minute plank or a 30 second, like 30 second के 2 planks. So now what has happened is कि कॉफ़ी तो मैं पी रही हूँ और मैं वेट भी कर रही हूँ कॉफ़ी पीते हुए, राइट. पर मैंने बीच में एक नई चीज घुसा दी कि कॉफी वेट जब कर रही हूँ तब मैं प्लान कर लूंगी बस.
राइट.
60 सेकंड प्लान अगर मैं होल्ड करने लग गई हूँ, देन आई विल से कि अच्छा अब आई ट्राई टू डू 1 पुशअप व्हाइल माय कॉफी इज ब्रूइंग. आई विल जस्ट डू 1 पुशअप. दिस इज वेरी रियलिस्टिक एक्सपेक्टेशन व्हिच इज गोइंग टू बी द सेकंड
idea that we have for you. This is even more important than anchoring, because if not, like most if not all plans fail because we overestimate ourselves. Never forget that there is a difference between probability and possibility. So taking your upper strength example अगर हम वो लेते हैं, so you can do let's say 1 push-up or 10 push-ups or X number of push-ups every day while you're brewing your cup of coffee. If you gradually build your strength, it will seem more manageable and the chances of sticking to it is higher.
I wanted to introduce skincare in my life and I was not able to, like I was not consistent with skincare, and with psoriasis I had to do it. I was cornered into doing skincare, and now it's second nature. I do not have an elaborate skincare routine, just to clear that out. But जो भी मैं कर रही हूँ for the namesake of skincare, that is because I kept it very real. If I keep 16 things, I will not do it. I wanted to keep it real. And I wanted to anchor it, and I did not know that I'm anchoring it at that point जब मैंने किया है. पर मैंने बस I just told myself कि ब्रश करना है सुबह और ब्रश करना है शाम को, और
उसके बाद ये करना है,
that's it. Something is better than nothing. ये कितनी बार सुना है. जैसे हम बोलते हैं कि हम oh God, I don't have 1 hour to work out. I have seen people who would come just run on the treadmill and go away just because they say that हमने बहुत मेहनत करी है, एक हैबिट बिल्ड करनी, रोज जिम आने की एक हैबिट बिल्ड करी है. अगर ये एक दिन छूटेगी क्योंकि हम बिजी है, एक दिन छूटेगी क्योंकि हमको पार्टी में जाना, एक दिन हमारा मन नहीं है, एक दिन हमारी तबीयत खराब है, ऐसे खुद को वी स्टार्ट गिविंग एक्सक्यूजेस कि अब ठंड हो गई, अब गर्मी हो गई, अब बारिश हो रही है. एंड दीज वर द पीपल जो 1 साल में मैंने देखा है who have seen tremendous results.
If you want to stick to your habit, you have to repeat it, and if you're doing something, as basic as brushing your teeth daily.
The simplicity and the reality of all habits is that if you want them to stick, you will have to repeat them.
And to follow up or to make it more interesting, what you can do is make it rewarding in some way or the other.
जैसे जिम जाने का रिवॉर्ड सिस्टम है, ये मुझे गलत लगता है. आई डोंट नो ये आप लोग को कैसा लगेगा. मतलब जनरली लोग क्या बोलते हैं, लोग बोलते हैं कि हम नया कपड़ा ले लेते हैं, फिर हम वहाँ मोटिवेट होंगे, हम जिम जाएंगे. नए कपड़े से सबको बढ़िया लगता है. देखो ये फैक्ट है. तुम वर्कआउट किया नहीं अभी तुमने, बट तुम्हें उसका आनंद नए कपड़े का वो पहले ही मिल चुका है. इफ यू कैन समहाउ से दैट इफ आई गो टू द जिम कंटिन्यूअसली फॉर अ मंथ एंड अ हाफ, then I will reward myself by buying एक सेट मैं तब खरीदूंगी. 1 महीने पे मैं 1 सेट खरीदूंगी, 2 महीने में मैं 2 सेट खरीदूंगी, और मैं 3 महीने लगातार वर्कआउट कर देती हूँ तो मैं जूते खरीदूंगी. You can use that reward system. And when I spoke to a friend, we used to go to the school, when we would start a new session, you would get new clothes. Then I told her, you are reading this wrong. You are not getting new books because you're starting a new session. You're getting new books and a new bag because you passed the previous grade and you came to the new grade. You are reading it wrong.
It's a matter of perspective. That was, that
is
why
this is that. That's her perspective and this was my perspective. Okay. Now, because we've told you about perspectives and we've told you, like, we've given you tips on
the habits that can,
how you can build new habits if you are interested, and you are having a shift of perspective and you are trying to inculcate new habits because you are having a shift of perspective. End this episode by giving you tips that will help you to sort of keep on recentering yourself, because you will have to keep recentering yourself, and life will happen. You will get overwhelmed. We know this because we are realistic people.
And it happens to us also.
And
so,
it happens to us. If you are overwhelmed by overthinking, you should write. It sort of empties your brain. This also works. Say suppose you're studying. Never overestimate yourself. बहुत बार होता है ये कि पढ़ते पढ़ते ख्याल आता है, ओ यार मैंने ना अपनी फ्रेंड को फोन करना था, अच्छा मैं बाद में याद करूंगी. So what happens is there's a thought that came into your brain and you're forcing your brain to hold on to it. Now instead, if you pick that thought, write on a notepad कि I have to call, say suppose Anmol or any XYZ friend. That thought your brain is free from that thought because it's on paper. You empty your brain as the thoughts keep coming. Which is why I'm saying if you're overthinking, take a pen, take a paper, just write. It does not have to make sense. It does not have to be grammatically correct. It does not have to be in the same language. It does not have to sound poetic. It could be Hindi, English for us.
However it works for you.
The other day I was telling Shubha that लोगों को ना sense नहीं होता है to read the room, and I cannot put it into words. I'm like लोगों को नुंची नहीं होता. And she's like कि बहन मुझे नहीं पता क्या होता है. कि जैसे हम कहीं बैठे हैं, you know, nunchi is basically you read the room and act accordingly,
yeah.
Right? कि say suppose there is a joke that is being cracked, so and you find it funny, but then it might be inappropriate
or offensive to someone, right? For certain reasons.
But then you are internally laughing and you are reading the room, and then you see somebody laughing, and then you feel comfortable in laughing.
Okay, yeah.
I just wanted to say read the room भाई मुझे याद ही ना आए. So when I say कि you have to write, if this is happening while you are writing, do this. You don't have to wait for you don't have to force yourself to think कि oh, read the room क्या तुम बोलना. अगर नुंची समझ में आ रहा bloody write नुंची. Dump your thoughts on a piece of paper.
I write stuff on my workbook. And I don't think nobody can understand that because I literally...
When you dump things on paper, usually it gives you perspective. A lot of people will give you this advice also.
And let's moving on. If you are anxious, you should probably focus on your breathing. Like babies, they cry. ऐसे वो सिसकिया लेके जब बच्चे होते हैं.
बच्चे से होते. So that is...
It's actually helpful because you're taking 2 breaths in and 1 is going out. So, you're able to calm, the kids are able to calm themselves down.
This is a natural reflex that we tend to forget क्योंकि हम बड़े हो जाते हैं.
हाँ, so to tone down your anxiety, you should breathe, and even if you're anxious, even it's work anxiety or whatever kind of anxiety that you're having.
This breathing exercise of 2 breaths in and 1 breath out, I think should be able to help you.
Yeah.
The other thing is, this is also coming from experience. If you're tired, read. So when you read, it sort of centers you, calms you down, and you can sleep properly. When you're tired, the worst thing that you can do to yourself is watch television, watch Netflix, or say time pass on with one idiot box or the other. Don't do that.
Moving on, so if you are sad, what you can do is you can exercise, because when you exercise, there are happy hormones that are released from your body. And it's going to help you, feel better, using science to your own benefit.
Yes, do that. I think the last one would be, if you're confused, go out in nature. This works one. You can or cannot maybe blame it on the extra oxygen you will get while you're in nature. मतलब say, for me, this could be me and my overthinking brain. मुझे, like when I go out in nature, I feel very minuscule and empowered at the same time. It's a weird paradox that I feel. ये मुझे लगता है, बाकी मुझे नहीं पता कितना सच है कितना नहीं है.
So let's hope all these tips are helpful for you, and maybe you'll follow it, maybe you'll not follow it, but that is your choice. But I hope we were helpful.
Yes, and if you can start and continue for a while, you'll be able to work on it. And on this note, we will end this series altogether.
Yeah, for our 2023 January series of, recentering yourself, checking in with yourself, following, not following your resolutions,
and stuff
and
like that.
tracking everything.
Yes, and I hope that us counting these thoughts had made at least that 15% difference. In your
Yes,
life.
girl!
So, yes, on that note, we'll sign out.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. Bye, take care.
Bye, people. See you soon. February, man.